On December 14, 2010, Border Patrol agent Brian Terry was killed with an AK-47 rifle purchased in the United States as part of Operation Fast and Furious. This operation, run by the ATF and DOJ, deliberately allowed over 2,000 weapons to flow to Sinaloa cartel members. The guns were found at murder scenes on both sides of the border. But why did the US government allow this to happen? Between 2006 and 2011, the ATF and DOJ ran Operation Fast and Furious, a program that began as Project Gunrunner, aimed at tracking the flow of guns from the US to Mexico. The operation started in October 2009 under the name Jacob Chambers Case before being renamed Fast and Furious in February 2010. The ATF used a tactic called gun walking, where they allowed guns to be purchased by suspects and then transported to Mexico, in an attempt to track the guns to high-ranking cartel members. However, the operation was poorly managed, and most of the guns were never recovered. According to the DOJ OIG report, only 710 of the 2,000 introduced guns were recovered. The question remains, what was the real intention behind this operation? The official version of events presented by the government claimed that the ATF did not deliberately allow guns to walk into Mexico. The director of the ATF, Kenneth Melson, stated before Congress on February 8, 2011, "We do not let guns walk." The government maintained that the operation was designed to track guns to high-ranking cartel members, but it was poorly executed. However, this narrative has been disputed by internal documents and whistleblower testimony. The government story does not add up, and many questions remain unanswered. The government claimed that the ATF did not deliberately allow guns to walk into Mexico. But an internal email from March 4, 2010, shows that the ATF knowingly let guns walk into Mexico. The DOJ OIG report confirms that the gun-walking tactic was used since 2006. The government also claimed that Attorney General Eric Holder was not informed of Fast and Furious until January 2011. But notes and emails from 2010 show that Holder's office received regular updates on the operation. The House committee report indicates that Holder was informed as early as August 2010 by his deputy, Lanny Brewer. The contradictions in the government story raise more questions than answers. What was the real intention behind Fast and Furious, and who knew about it? But the most important document hadn't been found yet. The evidence of the US government's involvement in secretly arming Mexican drug cartels is overwhelming. Document Crest, a CIA intelligence memorandum from 2010, reveals the importance of US firearms in Mexico's drug trafficking organizations. The DOJ OIG report, published in November 2011, confirms that the ATF deliberately allowed guns to flow into Mexico, with only 710 of the 2,000 introduced guns recovered. The House committee report, published in July 2012, concludes that the operation was poorly conducted and that the DOJ attempted to conceal the extent of the scandal. Testimony from ATF whistleblowers, such as John Dotson and Peter Forcelli, further supports the claim that the ATF knowingly allowed guns to walk into Mexico. Emails and notes from 2010 show that Holder's office received regular updates on the operation, contradicting the official narrative that he was not informed until January 2011. The CIA FOIA Reading Room and the Black Vault have made available thousands of pages of documents, including emails, reports, and testimony, obtained through FOIA requests. The implications of the US government's actions are staggering. If the ATF and DOJ deliberately allowed guns to flow into Mexico, what was the real intention behind this operation? Was it to track guns to high-ranking cartel members, or was it to fuel the cartel's violence and instability? The fact that the operation was poorly managed and most of the guns were never recovered suggests that the latter may be true. This raises questions about the US government's role in perpetuating violence and instability in Mexico. What other secrets is the government hiding about its involvement in Mexico's drug war? The revelation that the US government secretly armed Mexican drug cartels has far-reaching implications, and it is likely that this is not the only program the US government has used to influence events in Mexico. Today, the Fast and Furious scandal continues to be relevant, with many of the same issues still present. In 2023, new documents obtained through FOIA requests revealed further gaps in the tracking of guns. The scandal has weakened trust in the ATF and DOJ, and the question of gun walking continues to surface with each new operation to combat arms trafficking. The Mexican government has also been critical of the US government's role in fueling the cartel's violence, and the issue remains a point of tension between the two countries. As the US government continues to grapple with the consequences of its actions, it is clear that the legacy of Fast and Furious will be felt for years to come. This isn't the only program the CIA preferred to bury rather than explain, and the connections to other covert operations are still being uncovered. The Fast and Furious scandal raises more questions than it answers. What was the real intention behind the operation? Who knew about it, and who authorized it? The fact that the US government secretly armed Mexican drug cartels has far-reaching implications, and it is likely that this is just the tip of the iceberg. As we continue to uncover the truth about Fast and Furious, we are left with a haunting question: what other secrets is the government hiding about its involvement in Mexico's drug war? And if what we just uncovered is only the surface, what lies beneath? This program is officially closed, but what replaced it is still unknown.